difficulties there. We worked on it and we were able to solve them. Tonight, as you may know, I have a special guest, a kind soul from not from Canada who heard about the walk and decided that it needed to be done properly. So, without further ado, I'd like to bring on our special guest. Special guest, say hi to the folks, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be part of this conversation tonight.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Um, your your name is Usagi.
The trade name is Miyamoto Usagi Miyamoto. It's a name I took off of a character from a comic book who is very much a man going his own way, and a wandering agent of order, as it were.
I see. All right. Well, I'm kind of familiar with Miyamoto, but I'm more familiar with Miyamoto Musashi, Book of Five Rings.
Yes, yes,
Really
yes,
good
yes,
strategy books.
yes. It
Um,
is.
so Osagi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was raised in the Midwest here. I have was raised by a adoptive family in the Midwest here. My adoptive father was a cop who pretty much saved my Fanny from a abusive childhood that could have easily led to my demise at the age of 3 to 4. And I've always had that strong male figure in my life. I I graduated college. I joined up with the service here for about 8 years or so, and I got disabled and out, and I am currently working to help other people in a profession that I would like to keep kind of hush on the public view here.
No, absolutely. Um, so so you you understand that there are some issues that just really aren't addressed when the guys come home. And
There
those would
isn't.
be those would be specifically mental health issues. My take on it is that we train them to be survival machines to go out there and do go out there and do what we ask them to do, but we don't teach them how to become humans again when they come back. That's my feeling on it. Would that be kind of correct?
It's getting better. It is getting better. I know for that is a major concern for most of the returning soldiers here, and um, it they are hoping that they're trying their best here with what they have and how much personnel is limited by. The the problem is that their social life is their family life falls apart, not because of anything they did in the field, but more of their young families that just can't. They come home to empty houses or divorce orders, or that's what kind of I believe pushes a lot of the younger people over the edge.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I pretty much watch Terrence Pop's video, the final beat of the Purple Heart, I believe it's called. I pretty much watch that about once a month just to remind myself, hey, we got to be protecting the our service personnel's rights, our servicemen's rights, while they're
Yeah,
out doing what we ask of them. It's our job back here to keep to protect their rights. While they're out
yeah.
while they're out protecting the home front, we need to be protecting the home.
Yes, the trouble is that the home life is not as what it is supposed to be when they come home. Um, like I said, they come home to divorce papers. They get summoned in the middle of a deployment on a top secret submission here, which was a big problem a few months ago. That they ordered a seaman into court in Michigan um, for a divorce settlement and paternity and custodial settlement, and he was on a top secret mission on a sub where he could not respond to, and his commanders could not get him out. So it's a systemic problem.
I'm familiar with that case. Now, that judge tried to contravene Is it the Military Services Act or something along them lines?
It's one of the Soldier and Sailors Acts that prevent people can prevent that they have to wait till they come out of deployment to do anything with them.
That's it.
The
Yeah,
trouble,
I wasn't quite sure on the name of the act, but yeah, that's the act. So that judge tried to supersede law. That judge in a lower, measly court in Michigan tried to supersede and dictate what law should be for the rest of the country.
in a family court, which apparently seems to have
Hmm.
no ties to legal precedents and federal law.
So not only are they willing to take a man through the courts and rob him
Well,
of
he
his
can't
money,
defend himself.
well, rob him of his money while he's going through there. They're also willing to rob him of his children and his money when he can't be there to defend himself.
Exactly.
And they're doing it to it's the absolute lowest move that I can think of. Again, it is our job to keep the home safe while their job, while they're doing their job, which is keeping the home front safe.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that judge really just, that was really,
They screwed the pooch.
she has
Yeah.
no business being on the bench. She knew that
No.
she should have known that law was in play. She should have not capitulated to feminist dogma and ideology, and she should not have favored one sex over the other in her court, which she obviously did. Because as I understand it in that case, those children were already removed from that abusive mother's custody once before.
It's yes, that's the reason why he and his current fiance, if I remember the story correctly, had custody of the children to begin with.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's just one aspect that would really be a nasty, nasty issue for a man. That would cause a man mental health problems, possibly. I imagine being not, being so far away you can't protect your kids. Now, imagine the stress that would cause, any father. And now put that, add that to the stress that the normal serviceman goes through, just being in the service. There is stress there. I would say that it's probably a fairly stressful job. Would
Yeah,
that be a fair assessment?
it would be. I mean, most of my job in the military was more um, what would traditionally be rear echelon, which areas, but with the day's warfare, there's nothing that's rear echelon anymore. But the idea is that they have every day is a basically, are you going to live through that day? Are you going to get blown up by an IED? Are you going to be caught in a furball firefight?
Sure, sure.
Are you going to have two people? Are you going to have two people from your service in their dress uniforms knock on the door of your family saying that something happened to you? That's one of the reasons I decided not to marry when I was in service. I did not want that to happen.
Yeah, that's got to play on your mind heavily. It must. And if I remember, Paul gave a number of about 25 servicemen in the United States a day kill themselves, and that's really for a country that claims to be first world and care about its people. That doesn't really align with that claim. When you allow your 25 servicemen a day to lose all hope. Now, I might even say that there's probably that number is probably low because there's slow suicide, substance abuse.
Or there is are accidents in fast cars, motorcycles without helmets. Um, there are a bunch of more gruesome ways that men tend to do themselves in, and they tend to.
Yeah,
It's the reason why we complete more suicides than women do. Is that our methods are actually lethal, and
unfortunately, this is another thing where men are successful at
yes,
putting ourselves in the grave. I wish we weren't. I wish this is something we would fail at. I really do. Um, Now, let's move on a little bit beyond the military field there. Now, you'd mentioned that your father was a police officer.
Yes.
Now, that would
Well,
be
almost.
our first responders would be another group of predominantly men who face large volumes of gruesome, awful, nasty carnage.
Yes.
Nasty scenes. They respond to car accidents, fires, whatever tragedies that happen in life. These are the first responders, and they happen upon scenes where body parts are that are supposed to be on the inside are on the outside. And the victims range, from newborns to, 99 years old. So this obviously comes into play, and again, is a I you know it would be a mental stress for them. And I know right now in Hamilton, they just lost another police officer. He killed himself. Now that just happened last week, there last Tuesday, and I'm hoping that Hamilton Police will send out the mounted patrol for a mile of my walk. This is not a time to raise issues. This is a time to raise a voice, a united voice, saying enough's enough. We're tired of burying our sons and our fathers. But anyways, your father was a police officer, and he instilled upon you a lot of great values.
Yes. Yes. I have written about that here. I'm hoping we get that up on the boards here for Father's Day here, because it's definitely some it's definitely something that he definitely instilled upon us here.
Mhm. Um,
So
did he have any? Is there any like stories of his that stick out in your head that like responding to a domestic violence call where it's a male victim or anything along male issue related?
uh not particularly, but he was a lot of first responders, like he was, were a master of compartmentalization. I was working at a place where police officers from other cities would roll in, and kind of a nexus point between a couple of cities here. And I had one cop come in who didn't realize I was his son, and he was like, and he described to me a drug raid where my dad was in still patrolling, and he was about 10 years away from retirement here. He did 40 years he was still taking point on drug raids, and he described something that I dad would never tell me. And got the chance to hang with him in the afternoon with a series of with a group of co- of colleagues from my high school class, and he says he doesn't know my son doesn't know 50 to 60% of what has gone on, what I do. So he compartmentalizes that to protect us.
Sure, sure.
And that's a lot of stress that they have to do that, because there's no one they can talk to.
Yes, yes. Not only that, I believe there's high divorce rates in the first responders. Um,
There are. I actually described the ugly divorce from his first wife, and that's in an article here that I wrote for Men's Rights Sydney.
mhm. Um, yeah, that's a nasty situation. I am a child of divorced parents, and I know that neither one of them were saints. I do know that my mother was pretty handy with a beer bottle when it came to my
Uh,
dad.
yeah, I know there was violence there, but there was an evenness when we were in my dad's custody, which was rare even back then. We're talking mid 70s.
So you're about the same age as me. I'm 46.
Yeah,
You got you got to be
I'm in that age.
close.
I'm close.
So yeah, and so we both kind of grew up watching the carnage unfold, really, from radical feminists taking hold in the the 60s, there in the middle of the 60s, I was born in 1969, so I kind of watched it all play out from the 70s onward. And
And
it
I mean,
wasn't. Go ahead.
no, I see. I mean, I've gone through the whole college gambit, a whole educational gambit, and it just got worse year after year. Um, the uh, Between the political correctness, I've seen a friend of mine get caught before the academic committee for dropping the F bomb in front of someone who was ultra sensitive and cost him a semester on probation, which he did okay with, but he
But
made it out of the school. Yeah,
it's okay to burn the flag and get all wild on the flag, but God forbid you dropped an F bomb.
yeah. No, I was, yeah. So yeah,
That's
it's just gotten worse, um, and they're trying to make it mandated that everyone takes their women's studies courses and basically treat men like absolute crap.
well up here in Kanukistan. They've managed to get it into the high school level at I think it's the grade 11 year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do have hope because I do have connections with that younger age group through cousins of mine.
Uh huh.
And I will say I have hope because in one conversation amongst the young Bucks friends, and they are of that age where they are 15, 16 years old. So, of course, the first thing that comes out of my mouth to them is wrap it in latex or she's going to get your paychecks for the next 18 years. And they laugh a little bit, but they get it.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not
I go
I'm
ahead.
not going to pull any punches with these kids because they're 16 years old and they're getting fed horse shit in their school with these gender studies. So I tell them that. Now, the one guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he's only 15, 16 years old. He goes, I'm not a feminist. I'm an egalitarian. Why would I want to be a feminist? And I just thought, oh, dear God, manna from heaven. So our message is getting in there. And,
Yeah.
but they're not, they're still kind of like under mommy state's thumb at that age. I do hope that they, grow up a little bit more when they get up in age a little bit more, that they are able to express their thoughts with less fear of being suspended and such.
Agreed. Um, the Well, for us, it's the feminists are now teaching schools here. I mean, there are places I go to on the web where some of us don't. Some of us mock a little bit here, but every so often there's a bit of truth in them. That's why I keep looking at them here. Um, Occasionally, Return of Kings comes up with a reasonable article here and there. If you cut
Yeah,
through all the PUA stuff,
yeah, they do come up with so there is some truths in their stuff. Again, to me, that's more of a young man's game, and I do hope that community does advise their those that are following them. Hey, you could be setting yourself up for a couple things here. Wage slave for the next 18 years because you have an unexpected pregnancy going on. And guess what? You, as a guy, have only one right. Well, you got two rights. You got the right to pay, or you got the right to go to jail if you can't afford to pay. That's
right?
the only two rights that a guy has. The other one that I hope that they're advising their community of is false rape allegations. We know they happen. As a matter
Yep,
of fact, the last three feminist champions of rape culture have all turned out to be false allegations. We let's see, the last Duke Lacrosse was a big one. That one was false. We got Jackie Coakley and Sabrina Erdley, writing their little bit of fiction, which blew up in their faces. And then now it's looking like all the evidence is pointing to Sulkowitz is just was pissed off because she didn't get her man. She couldn't
yeah,
keep her man, and that seems to have pissed her off and motivated her to launch a false rape allegation.
and I believe hopefully that guy will sue that school for all it's worth.
As I understand it, it's in the works, and you know what? It looks good on you. It looks good
Yeah,
on those schools for capitulating to ideology instead of evidence. It looks good on them. And once the lawyers smell that money in the water, it's going to be a feeding frenzy. So heads up there,
Yeah.
fam. You may have just killed higher education.
Well, kill them in higher education here. I mean, I'm still having issues with them as I'm still having issues with them covering up their own rapists in their own backyard.
Yeah, it's odd how they don't mention lesbian rape, which happens at a higher rate than heterosexual rapes do. And I'm talking real rape here, forced sex. I'm not talking, oh, I woke up in the morning, besides
And he
my
was
wife.
ugly.
Well, no, I woke up in the morning beside my wife and I gave her a kiss. She didn't want it because I had morning breath. They're classifying that as basic. That turns out to be a positive on Statistics Canada's questionnaires for their general social surveys. Unwanted, unwanted, not forced, unwanted. So conceivably, a woman who wakes up in the morning and gets a kiss from her husband who has morning breath, well, it was unwanted. There we go. It's sexual assault. No wonder they're coming out with numbers that they're trying to come out with these numbers 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and they're sticking to these numbers like glue, but that glue is really not. It's not really holding. It's falling
No,
apart.
no. The new data says it's less than fractions of percents per
Yeah,
thousand.
1 in 40 or something like that. 1 in 67. It's
Oh, it's
really.
like of actual rape. I think it was rate for overall was like 0.6 to 0.1. I have to take a look at the numbers again, but it was low in per thousand people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's it's not that, and it's been going down since all the hysteria started. They're trying to keep their money coming in, is what they're trying to do.
That's pretty funny. Hysteria. Feminists, when feminists go crazy ape shit about rape college, it's called hysteria because
So,
it's the sisterhood going nuts
yep. Well, yeah,
for money.
I'm not.
For money.
Yes,
That's what it's all
yes,
about.
yes,
It's about
and
money,
the
power.
yep, and the other problem is that is the rapists, is the pedophiles. They actually hide amongst their own members.
Oh, we got Eve Ensler, Lena Dunham, Simone de Beauvoir. Uh,
Yep.
that's off the top of my head. I know there's other ones out there that kind of
Yeah, and they're
roll.
all strangely quiet about that. And let's
Paula
not get in.
Poundstone, I think it was alleged. Paula Poundstone would be another one.
That would
Uh,
explain why she's not on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me anymore.
Apparently, yes, there was a lesbian molestation charge filed against her. I don't know exactly what played out with that, but yeah, that's going back quite a few years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was another one. Yeah, they're hiding that. They're basically they want lesbian women to suffer injury. They don't care. It's all about the money with them. So
Yep.
lesbian women, if you think feminism's got your back, you are sadly mistaken. What they
Yeah.
do have is money, and they
Yeah.
want more of it,
And they'll
and they
shut you
don't
up to
care. Yeah, they
they'll
don't
shut you
care
up to
whether
keep it.
yeah, they'll shut you up to keep it, and they don't care whether you end up in the grave so that they get more of it.
Yeah.
They will, they will, they will, they will use a situation that is not not what it is, and they will try and manufacture it into the patriarchy. Dun dun dun.
And of course, the recent rape, break-in and rape of a porn star here in the United States here, and
Hmm.
feminism were dead quiet about it.
Cynthia, yes.
Yes.
She her house was broken into. I believe, as I understand the situation, it was kind of a multiple rape situation, multiple more
Yes.
than one guy.
It
And
sounds like
and
it.
yeah, from what I understand, and this is going off of memory here, but from what I understand, that was the situation. And the feminist community just sat there with, oh, it didn't happen because she's not one of the sisterhood sort of deal. She's not one of us, so we're gonna ignore it. There was a GamerGate girl who is well in the sex industry, and she brought it up. She brought it to light, and good on her for doing that. They both got my support. I'm really really sorry for Cynthia's troubles in that. But they, hats off to the other woman. Her name escapes me now, but hats off to her for for shining light on that.
And one of her fellow porn stars actually called feminism out on it as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's she's also a GamerGate girl.
Oh, she is.
Um,
Okay, I didn't. That one I didn't. That one I missed.
yeah, she's actually, if I remember correctly, she's actually got a PhD in something. I can't remember what it is, but she's
I think she's an engineer. Believe it or not.
yeah, she's well educated, but she knows that if she wants to make a lot of money while she can, that she can get into this industry and do it. So
And
she,
she's got STEM to fall back on.
yeah, yeah, she's got a fallback position for sure.
Yeah.
But don't change. Not literally.
No, I'll respect that. I'll respect that woman here. If you used it to pay for a degree in a science, technology, engineering, mathematical field, all I can say is, where do I buy the tapes?
Well, yeah. You know what? It's an option for younger girls to help them put themselves through university. It's also an option for the younger guys.
Yeah,
However,
but if you want to see a
if
pay gap,
well, yeah, there is a pay gap there. Female dancers make more money than male dancers do. So yeah,
yeah,
why isn't
and
feminism screaming about that pay gap? I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it might have to do with their hypocrisy and bigotry. I don't know.
yes, they hate porn stars because it decreases the men's need for uh, a partner that will be to be intimate with, and these women are much more attractive than some of the feminists are. Let's face it. I wouldn't want. I they are they, you the pictures are very unflattering for just to put it mildly.
I don't really care. You know what? To me, what makes feminists ugly? It ain't how it ain't their outward appearance. It's their hatred from the inside. It just leaches out from them, and I'm not talking about the unicorn feminists like Christina Hofstammer's. I am talking about the rank and file, the radical ones like say, oh, rat lady.
That one lawyer out of Baltimore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's their hatred that makes them ugly. It's their lies for profit that make them ugly. It has nothing to do with their outward appearance, and it has nothing to do with the patriarchy. It has everything to do with humanity and common sense.
Yeah.
But we've kind of fallen off topic, so let's drag this back on topic. Okay, so
Yes.
you heard about my walk from Dundas here, Ontario, to Toronto, Ontario, to raise awareness for men's mental health, and it is the perfect time because Canada, for the first time in I think the history of mental health weeks, National Mental Health Weeks, has declared the theme for this year is mental health for men. So I decided that it is time to really put boots on the ground for this. And you
Literally.
heard about this,
Yes.
literally.
Yes.
And you heard
Yeah.
about this. And what were you thinking?
I was thinking, as part of the men's human right movement here, we have to realize that we are constantly thought of as the villain. We are constantly thought of as suspect. The only way that we can save our fannies is to follow the doctrine of ABR, always be recording. And one of the big I've seen a couple of your protests and going out to events here, and a lot of them are a lot of them have been really an epic win there. But the trouble is that, and with our recent problem here with the Calgary Expo, is that we didn't have enough cameras on in the possession of the people who we wanted to support, which were the honey badgers. And the reason is it's expensive. I mean, the camera equipment's expensive. The support for it is expensive. Um, things and people can snatch them too. I mean, I understand one was snatched out with where is it? Was it in Toronto that you had one of your cameras?
They tried to steal the camera out of one of us at the Bill Cosby event there. Now that was an interesting one. Okay, even though we had cameras on us, and I had two police officers within 3, 4 feet of me, a feminist felt safe enough to, approach me from behind, and I turned at the last minute, and she managed to accost me, and she managed to assault me and commit theft. Now it's a minor thing, and really, I don't really, I wouldn't want to, I don't want to see her thrown away for years and years and years. But when I said to the officers, arrest that woman for her crimes, and I pointed out the crimes, and it was, let me see here, off the top of my head, 265 of the Criminal Code of Canada would be assault, and I think it's 322 would be theft. That's just off the top of my head. That might be a reason why the police don't really like dealing with me, is because I know the laws pretty well. They forced me to learn them. They screwed me around enough that I ended up saying, "All right, I'm going to learn the laws better than you." So, anyways, so the one officer started doing his job, and the second officer, "Nah, we're not going to do it," and called him back. So, yeah, I've been attacked. That was the one time I was attacked. Now, later on, that same woman and her boyfriend came up and attacked Malcolm and literally knocked him to the ground in their attack. I believe it was he who was attacking, but knocked Malcolm to the ground, and then tried to steal the camera because it had the evidence of them committing their crimes. So they were trying to hide their crimes. Now, I can't say whether possibly a crooked police officer said, "Hey, you want to destroy that evidence, otherwise they're going to hang you out to dry," or not. I really have no idea. But yeah, that was one attack, and it was an interesting one. That was the second attack for me in August of 2012, downtown Dundas. I was attacked with a makeshift club by a male feminist. So apparently, these
Proxy
Pacific
violent.
these Pacific peaceful loving feminists aren't so peaceful loving. Look at the Warren Farrell protests there. That
Oh
was
yeah,
absolutely incredible. They felt so safe that they could attack the police, commit assault on the police, and nothing was done. They are
and
the
that it,
establishment.
and that is the problem. That is the problem we have to, is the biggest problem we have to face here, is that we have to have all our interactions recording at all times here.
Now,
We have to
so
document them.
so your solution was to do what?
My solution was to talk to you about what your camera needs were. Um, what would you need to keep a reasonable device on you that would have reasonable hours, reasonable running time, reasonable memory, um, and enough resolution that if someone was close enough to you, you could probably count the pimples on their faces. Um,
Yes. Now,
because it
go ahead.
because the worst thing you could do when they start lying is to show them the truth that from their own lips.
Yes, yes, and that's exactly what we do. They can spew their lies all they want, but when we start pulling out the video evidence and the recordings, their lies just kind of fall away. Um,
I would, yeah, with the recent incident at Calgary Expo as an example, if we had more video available or sound recordings of what happened when they pulled Allison Tiernan away, we could definitely, they would have such a stronger case than they do now. That it would
Absolutely.
be, how many zeros do we put after the number?
Absolutely. And folks, if you do not know what's gone on in the last few weeks, I haven't been able to throw as much support as far as moving traffic on Twitter and Facebook and stuff and spreading the word around. I haven't been able to do as much as that because for the last 2 weeks, me and Jeb have been walking for about 5 hours straight a day, covering about 10 miles, a little more, 12 miles. I've been walking with about 30 pounds on my back. And geez, I don't know, I might be Jeb's owner, but he gets the free ride. I'm carrying his water and his food. He ain't carrying anything for me. I don't know about that one. I don't know how I'm his own. I'm considered his owner. I think I might. I think. I think that that might be a feminist theory. That we say that we own the dogs, but the dogs kind of own us. We're waiting on them hand and foot. We feed them, we water them, take them out. Why? You know.
But the dogs give you a much better return of effort, I would say.
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
I've seen I've seen dogs save their owners time and time again.
You know what, Jeb has been my companion for the last 2 years, and he is my hairy son, and he eats before I do, if it comes down to it. And yeah, I agree. I'm just poking fun at feminist theory because I was just going to slip right into it's the patriarchy. I'm a victim of the
Patriarchy.
patriarchy.
Oh, that's bad.
It's catastrophic. That's even
You
worse.
don't have cats.
I know.
That gives pussy pass a whole new meaning, doesn't it? Now, oh boy.
All right. So you sent me a camera,
I
correct?
sent you.
And
I sent
all
you.
goodies to go with it to ensure that I can record 24/7, well, 24/5 because I only plan on being on the road for 5 days. It
At
makes
least, at least, I believe the batteries on it are a couple of hours per charge, and 6 hours of walking will probably get you good close to your goal. And then you can charge them from a car charger, or if you have a ability to plug into somewhere, you can plug in. If you have a laptop, you can sync it with that and take the video off and restart the drives as fresh.
yeah, I'm
So
working on that. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I've got it to the point where I can get recordings and get the recordings off of it. Now I've got another little bit of news. Another person heard the recording from the GoPro and is sending me a recorder to go with the
good,
GoPro, so that we'll have 100% audio as well.
good,
Because
good.
that GoPro case, if I take it out of the case, it records perfectly. You can hear my voice perfectly, but in that case, that protects it from all the elements and possible grabbing from nefarious individuals. It kind of
Because you can
blocks
put,
the mic.
yeah.
So this individual
Is
seen
there
and decided to send up a recording device, a digital recording device for me.
good?
So
Is there a plug out for a microphone out on those GoPros? I have yet to look at one myself closely.
well, the case that it comes in is good for underwater 130 feet, so there's really no external way to plug anything in.
Okay, okay, so it's a watertight case.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little unit. You can see like I specifically
I
yesterday.
could count. I could count grass hair. I could count grass leaves
Yeah.
on the last video.
Oh, the last video that was actually taken off my phone. The video I took with the GoPro was at the top of Sydenham Hill, the peak, so you could see all of Dundas sprawled out before you. And then if
Oh
you
yeah.
look off in the distance on the left hand side, I'll be leaving from Dundas and heading that way towards the lake. When I hit that lake, I will have traveled the distance from Dundas to the edge of Hamilton, and then the next town is Burlington. So that's the distance I'm going to travel in one day from one end of Dundas all the way down to that lake, and I'm going to travel the main drags. As I understand it, there's people coming in wet from west of here, an hour away to join for the walk. I don't know how long they're going to join for the walk. I say to people, if you even want to walk 10 feet, just to show your support, that's great. I know that there's one person in a wheelchair that wants to join me at Queens Park because they're in a wheelchair. They can't do the walk, but they want to raise their voice, and they want to say, this is wrong what we are doing to men these days. It's so wrong that they feel so lost that they are killing themselves. They're 4 times as likely to kill themselves as our daughters, and it is absolutely insane. And it
Yeah.
really strikes home with me. The movement lost Earl Silverman 2 years ago yesterday, to the day 2 years ago yesterday. And, there's been some progress, but now we've got an opportunity to split that dam of silence wide open. We've got a chance to absolutely demolish that dam of silence that's stopping men's issues from making it to the forefront. And I believe suicide is going to be the one that really brings the men's issues into the public's eye, because with those men's issues we can go into divorce courts, how that plays on the mental health of men. We can go into how they're being told that they are worthless in school, and they are broken girls in school, and that's going to play on the mental health of men. We can talk about how they go into the service and they come home without any help, and that it just starts playing out. So the mental health issues are are huge, or the number of them are huge, and how they put they come into that mental health sphere. Um,
Yeah,
the a divorce, that the breakdown of the family, parental alienation, not being able to see your kids. These are things that are going to mentally are just destructive to a man, and some handle it better than others,
exactly.
and it depends on the trauma that they've experienced in the past, as far as I understand. So yeah, I believe that suicide is one of those issues that we really, really need to hammer the points home. It is one that really, if a feminist, well, we all know what the one feminist who laughed and mocked, male suicide. We all know what happened to her. She's now, she is pointed to as the, as the monster of feminism, or the monster that feminism is.
Yeah, and they're all the people who think like that are the monsters of feminism, unfortunately. So,
Absolutely.
well, yeah, and the other reason is that with this camera, I know you've gotten results between cafe, and working antimisandry as well. Um, this I consider a surgical fun strike, as it were, to someone who can get the most bang out of what I can get them. The this this is another thing you could use. This can be used for pretty much any conference you go to. That even if you're in the shield, even the camera's in the shield, you'll be able to get the recording from the recorder as well. Um,
Mm.
you can see the detractors from from the from like the Janice Mango incident. You would have cameras on the detractors here just by turning around with the GoPro on you.
Yes, absolutely. There was something that I thought that might be kind of nice, and I think I'm gonna try and strap it to Jeb for a day on the walk.
That'd be interesting, at least for the longest that one of the batteries lasts. Here, I think you
Yeah.
have a total of three now.
Yes, you made sure that I was that this project is going to be well documented, and it's going to be up for all to see. Um, it may not be; it'll be the whole length of the trip, but I may put it up at 8 times the speed, sort of deal, because there's going to be lags where it's just me and Jeb walking. Okay, there's going to be
Yes.
lags where people are around and stuff like that, and dead time, and at night and stuff like that. I'd also like to point out that I'm going to be reading Tom Golden's "How Men Heal" book. I'm going to be reading that on the way, and I'm also going to be reading one of Warren Farrell's books on the way too, if I've got enough time. But Tom Golden's for sure. Warren Farrell's book's a little thicker, but yeah, I definitely want to read Tom Golden's book on the way. Um, so yeah, that's the way it's set up. You have I really am choked by your generosity and your commitment to ensuring that this goes off as best as possible. Um, yeah, I really I think I can speak on behalf of the men's human rights community and say thank you for all of us.
You're welcome, and I hope that you use this more in the future as well, because it's not going to stop here. It's going to
Well,
keep.
actually, I think I'm going to get a chance to use it I'm going to get a chance to use it before the walk, because this Thursday, Cafe is having a lecture, and it's Robin Urbach, how and it has to do with reporting of men's issues in the media. So I think that I'll be able to use it there and possibly capture the whole lecture.
Go for it.
And if you're okay with me breaking it in a little bit on that before the walk, then yeah, let's have at it. Let's get
Yeah,
let's.
I tried to get it to you as fast as I could, specifically so you could get used to to its ways, how you use it, get used to putting it together, putting it on your person, and if we have another event that you can take advantage of using it with, hey, it that's one of the reasons why, like I said, this is a surgical strike, because you've gotten results and you can publish these things here, and I hope that they can broadband that out to everyone.
I am actually going to see if I can get a deal with Fido to stream some of it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and see if I can do that. I'm gonna ask them. Now there was an interesting development that happened, and I'm literally scared to hell about it, but in a kind of a good way. So when the camera arrived, I had to go downtown Hamilton to do some running around, and I found out that I am eligible for a new phone because my contract was due.
Okay.
And because I had $50 in Fido money, I was able to purchase myself a nice LG. Well, not purchase, sign 2 years of my life away for
Yeah.
newer LG phone.
Okay.
So I intend to be using that. Now, what scares me about it is that I can't find a case for it yet. So
Is
I've
it
got
that new?
well, it's an LG G3 or something. But I had to sign away 2 years, 2 more years of my life, and I'm quite happy with Fido. They, I've used them for 2 years. Their phone that that I originally got off them 2 years ago, it's still in very, very good shape. As a matter of fact, the only thing that's kind of damaged on it is the scratch shield. That little thin plastic sheet because I kept that on it. That's the only
Uh
thing
huh.
that's damaged on it. Everything else is perfectly, pristine. Um, so they got my business, they got my loyalty. But it was a nice surprise that I had to bump up my program a little bit. But I ended up with a really nice phone for $3 at the end of the day. I
Oh,
lost $50
oh,
of $50 of Fido money. I had to bump my services up a little bit, and it cost me at the end of the day $3. So that was a nice little bonus that I didn't expect. I didn't I really wasn't. I was going in to talk about my bill and take care of it, and they said, "Oh, by the
ah.
way," I'm like,
If
"Oh,
if you have the money here, and this is me, I'm hard on my electronics myself here, and most of my stuff is already cased as well. But there is something that you can do to the glass. It's called Invisible Shield. A company called Zag ZAGG puts it out.
okay, I'll
That
have to
is
look it up."
some of their stuff can resist. It's made out of some sort of polymer, and I've actually done this with some of my devices here. I've taken a flat screen device, handheld device, slammed it up against a steel door, glass first, or a steel door jamb, scrubbed it up and down the rough paint. You expect the glass to be completely shattered. The the only thing that was marred up was the plastic sheeting.
Wow, I'll have to. I will look for that. I'm looking for a case for it right now. But
Well,
but to
this is for your glass
yeah, but to
because the
protect
glass
it,
is a bit. Yeah.
I've got it wrapped in bubble wrap.
Oh, oh, it's called this one. I would recommend you putting on your shoe so you don't have to take the bubble wrap down to call anyone.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, that's on my hit. It's on my hit list. Obviously, I've been looking around, and they just don't. Either they're sold out or they don't have them right yet, or whatever. But yeah, I'm quite happy with Fido. Thank you ever so much, Fido. And like I said, I'm going to be writing them a letter, letting them know what I'm doing, and hopefully they will, donate a little bit of their bandwidth to promote this. That would be awesome on them, and they would have my lifelong support, and I would advertise for them, you know, uh, relentlessly. But we'll see how that goes. For now, they've just got my support for another 2 years, my business for another 2 years. Um, so yes. Now, is there anything else you'd like to say about what's going on?
Oh, I, well, let's see here. I mean, for most every, it seems like every man has, in some time of their life, has had the stress where they were looking at tools. What happens if I use this and just disappear? Type thing. A knife, a bike, a gun. We all have had that time. I've had that. I've had that time. I'm looking, and because our enemies want to pull us down harder and harder to make us lower than dirt. The thing is that there's the one thing that should keep men should keep on their minds is that your enemies will just gloat over your grave. The thing is that that your enemies will absolutely hate is that you lived your life well, and lived your life not in both to in the spite of them and to spite them. So that
In other words, live a devil may care, or a
no,
feminist may care attitude. Who cares?
uh,
They want to whine, let them whine.
let them choke on their own bile for all I care. The idea is that don't end your life and let them win. To live the life well and prove them wrong on every count. I'm kind of living proof of that at sometimes.
I would say the same thing. August 29th, 2011, after being told by the courts that I am lower than low and not worthy of equal protection and services under the law, despite in contrary to section 15(1) of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and contrary to section 28 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that I as a man am a second class citizen not worthy of anything, that I should suck it up. We don't intend to enforce the law, was their words, exactly to me after my future was robbed from me by a vindictive ex. That I decided that it was time for me to go. And luckily, um, I wasn't successful. And I ended up in the same hospital as my older brother when he killed himself. I was in the same hospital for the same weekend. And I'll tell you, the doctors and the nurses were like, their jaws, you could catch the flies from their jaws hitting the floor. Oh my God, what are you doing here 29 years to the weekend that your brother killed himself? And when I told them what had happened and my story and how the police had threatened me with my life and physical violence here in Hamilton, and how the courts had sat there and say, I don't give a damn what the Charter of Rights and Freedom says, and how they had considered me lower than a slave as far as rights go, um, that they said, wow, you've had a substantial amount of shit go through your life, and the fact that you can't let it go kind of leads us to believe that you're kind of hung on it and it's a traumatic stress disorder kind of thing. um, that being said, I was pretty much primed for that. It is not comparable to what the service personnel go through, but it is a form. Like I said, I was primed for it. I lost my brother when I was 13 years old. That was a hell of a traumatic experience. Domestic violence, that was another traumatic experience to grow up through. I was primed for it. It's a weird bit of business. That's all I can say about it. Although I will tell you that it's also an interesting experience to wake up in the middle of the night sweating and need to feel the wall to make sure that it's your wall and not a a cell wall, holding cell wall where the cops will sit there and make threats against you willy nilly without a care in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, and I take their threats very seriously. Their claim to fame here in Hamilton is a officer by the name of Ryan Tosher, and Ryan Tosher, his stardom comes from killing two unarmed men here in Hamilton and putting a third in the hospital with broken, crushed vertebrae and broken orbital sockets, and yeah, that's Ryan Tosher. And his lawyer, his police lawyer, would have us believe that it's just dumb luck that he happens to always be around when these major injuries and major incidents happen to unarmed individuals. So that's Hamilton police. So yeah, they're 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 a different bunch altogether. That being said, there's an open invite for them to walk. Okay. This is not a time. This walk is not a time to bring up those issues. This is a time to raise a united voice, saying, "Hey, enough's enough. We're tired of burying our sons and our fathers and our brothers."
And that and they've lost. It sounds like a couple of good men here in the recent months too. So
Last year it was Sergeant Ian Matthews. Right around Christmas time, rumor has it he was going through the family courts. This year it was just this past Tuesday, and I don't know the full story on the man. I'm my deepest condolences to his family and the service. I know there are good officers out there. I also know that there are bad officers out there, just like every other any other group. There's bad apples in every bunch. To the good officers, I salute you. I say hats off to you. Keep on doing your good job. To the bad ones, best not cross my path because I will be recording.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Well, my times weren't that serious. I never got to the point where I'd actually do the act, but sometimes it just it's a fleeting passing here. The thing is, what was my decision tree to do? Um, let them win or make myself force myself through to victory. Um,
Yeah. Now I find that I'm forcing myself through to victory. That act was actually a blessing in disguise because then it started the ball rolling. Where all right, now I'm getting proper treatment, no pills, cognitive behavioral therapy. I see a wonderful doctor. Hats off to you there, Johnson, Dr. Johnson, and staff who support what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, hats off to them. I know there's good ones out there. Again, you just sometimes you got to shop around a little bit. Don't
yeah, yeah, yeah. The people who've helped me, I've insisted upon male therapists if I've had to have the time.
yeah. What I said to my current doctor is the first time I met him. I said, "Do you consider yourself a feminist, a masculinist, or an egalitarian?" And he said, "Well, I consider myself a Christian." I says, "Well, doc, you'd make a good politician. Would you please answer the question?" And he said, "I consider myself an egalitarian." And I says, "Right on. We can work together. I can work with you." And from there on, I see him about once a month, and he is where I can decompress because I hear the horror stories all the time, and they will burn you out if you do not watch it.
Exactly. Yeah.
They will play upon you.
Um, yeah.
And again, this
The
is another health issue for guys. For the guys that are helping guys, that's another mental health issue that we face. You know,
yeah,
Earl Silverman helped guys for 20 years.
at his own pocket, and again with a government that did not want to help him back, and the stress ended up having making him go down that wrong fork of decision, as it were.
Yeah. I don't think that he meant his suicide as a suicide. I believe that he meant it as a rallying call, and I wish he hadn't have made that rallying call. I wish he was still here today. But that ship has sailed. We cannot change that. So now we can just do the best to honor his memory, and that's why I've co-dedicated this walk to Earl, to my brother and to Earl, so that they were they were actually the first and last experiences I've had so far with suicide, and I really hope that I don't hear of another friend committing suicide, but I can guarantee you I've got another 20 years left on this, on probably another 20, 30 years left to be around.
At
I
least,
Yeah, I suspect that I will hear of others, because I'm getting into that age group where there's another peak, around 50 years old, the divorce age group kind of gig where that
yeah,
peak hits.
yeah,
And so yeah, I suspect that I will hear of others, and I'll do my damnedest to stop it, but I'm a bit of a realist. I know that I'm not gonna be a dreamer and say it's not gonna happen. I begrudgingly admit that yeah, it's going to happen. I wish it would. I don't know what else to say about that. Sorry about that. I rambly about this stuff. This
no, no,
topic
no,
goes.
no. That's absolutely fine. They are getting better with the service people here. I've heard of programs where once you get discharged from the service, you can be picked up for the VA for health care coverage for a period, I believe, 2 to 3 years, and they will take if you come back from deployment here, and they will go through you and help you out with some of these things here, at least for the 3 years. Some of these people probably are waiting to register for healthcare with the VA for problems as well, so it actually speeds up that process. But if you've been discharged here, take your medical records, get them to the VA, and get yourself some help here before something uncovers that everyone's going to regret.
Absolutely, absolutely. Guys, we need you to reach out. If you don't speak up, nobody's going to know. And there's another thing there: pouring yourself into the bottle or sitting there
Doesn't
and shooting yourself up with whatever drugs. That's not an answer. You may feel good for a couple of couple hours, maybe a day or something like that, but it's not
it's
an
not meant
answer.
to feel good though. It's meant to feel numb.
Numb.
They
Well,
want to
yeah,
numb.
yeah. Perhaps a better terminology there. Um, the yeah, it's a band aid. So it's a band aid. It's not. It's a band aid that will turn into a crutch that will turn into a permanent limp if you don't watch it. Substance
Yeah,
abuse.
yeah,
Um,
no, no, I agree.
so yeah, there's that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the walk. Now I'm going to start off in Dundas here, in
Uh
a
huh.
park that's across from Dundas District High School. It's at the west end of town. And I'm going to give a little bit of a press release speech, and I believe that there is going to be some press there. I'm going to walk to the nearest um, post, and I'm going to put the first sticker up, and then at that first sticker, I'm going to write Anthony's name in chalk. And then at the next post, I'm going to be writing Earl's name in chalk. And then at the next post after that, I believe it'll be a military name in chalk. And then possibly, on and so forth. When I get down to the police station here in Dundas, I will put down police servicemen's names in chalk. Now, I went into the police services station here in Dundas today, and I talked to the officer behind the desk there, and they were quite sympathetic and supportive. Now, I still have to talk to their chief, but they were quite sympathetic and supportive and appreciative of me coming in person and expressing condolences. Again, I may give the police a hard time, but not on this one. Okay, everybody gets a pass on this one. Everybody gets a pass to raise their voice and raise awareness on this one.
I take it, unfortunately, you don't have a shortage of lists of people you're going to put down, do you?
Not really, but I am accepting names because I do have 75 miles that I can travel, and there's a lot of names that can go in between that 75 miles, and I've got 1,000 stickers. Um, so if anybody wanted to email me a name of a loved one or a friend who lost all hope, I will put their name in chalk by a sticker. Now, also, I'm going to try and hit each and every city's town hall. So I'll be stopping off at the Dundas Town Hall first, then on to the Hamilton Town Hall, then on to the Burlington Town Hall, Oakville Town Hall, Mississauga Town Hall, and then finally Queens Park, Toronto. Now, at the town halls, and I want to thank Steve Brule, Studio Brule, for this idea. At the town halls, when I put a sticker up, I'm going to leave a little bag of chalk there, a little plastic bag of chalk, so that after I'm gone, the people who missed me but still want to, express, si- uh, give voice to those who have silenced their own voices. They can come by and put the name in chalk too. They're more than welcome to do that. So yeah, and I'm gonna ask that the municipalities that I walk through, just leave that those bags of chalk up and those stickers up for at least a week. Um, if the feminists want to come by and tear down the stickers, well, it only shows what kind of it only shows your character. Um, Feminists, you have an open invite to come and walk with me. Um, I'm not, we're not going to discuss issues here. It's a walk to raise awareness. You're more than welcome to come out and walk. Um, you get a pass on this one. It's your sons and your fathers and your brothers. Don't forget that you are burying. Okay. So, feminists, you might want to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the goal of this walk is to raise awareness and to raise a united voice to let Premier Wynne know in Ontario here enough's enough of ignoring men putting themselves in the grave. As a matter of fact, like I said, it's about 8 guys a day here in Canada. Ontario has 39% of the population, so that puts about 3 men a day in Ontario that are killing themselves, compared to about maybe 3/4 or a half of a woman in Ontario killing themselves. I don't, obviously you can't, 3/4 half kill yourself. So,
So about a
uh,
woman every other day.
yes, yes, yes. Um, so that's how that one would play out. But every 8 hours, on average, there's one Ontario man who kills himself. 8 hours a day, every 8 hours, every day, 365 days a year, and it's been going on since 2007. You want to start counting the bodies? You want to start going down to the grave sites there? Premier Win, I urge you to do so. Matter of fact, Premier Win, I would love for you to hear, and feminists, I would love for you to hear, have heard the scream that came from my mother's throat when she was called, when a phone call was placed to her that her firstborn had killed himself. That scream will haunt me for the rest of my days. No two ways about it. That morning will haunt me for the rest of my days. It was a Saturday morning. I remember the call came through. It was right around 7 a.m. Remember it like it was yesterday. Awful situation. Yes. Anyways, yes. So that is basically the gist of the walk. Now, at the end of the walk, and this is an open invite for every single one of you in Toronto there, we're going to meet up at the Center for Men and Their Families, where that's our rallying point in Toronto. And then from the Center for Men and Their Families, we're going to walk on over to Queen's Park. So if you're in the Toronto area and you want to come join us, feel free to join us over at 152 Carlton Avenue in Toronto. And from there, we'll finish off the walk to Queen's Park. Everybody's invited. Okay, this is an amnesty walk. Everybody gets amnesty on this one because the goal is to raise a united voice saying enough is enough of burying our sons and fathers and brothers too. But the way it plays out number wise, 20 years old and 50 years old, those are the ones where they're at the around 80% of the suicide population. So that's our sons and our fathers.
Okay.
Um,
And
Sorry,
again,
I'll get
this
off
is
my soapbox.
no. This is a soapbox that needs to be stood on. And and this is again why one of the other reasons why I wanted you to have this recording equipment. Um, I unfortunately, because of time constraints, um, I am unable to do half the stuff, a tenth of the stuff, a quarter of the stuff that of what you and a lot more people who are a lot more active in the movement are able to do. What I can do, however, is that it's just me, and while it's not bottomless, I do have resources, to put it mildly, um, that I can get out to people. And knowing that this is kind of knowing like I did about this particular campaign of yours, that this is a point where we need to. This could be you're a high yield person who's gotten results throughout the campaign since you started up with the movement. I figured I gave resources to you, which is hopefully going to be well. I don't believe. I'm not going to be hopeful. It is money well spent.
Well, I'll tell you this. 2 years ago, a Voice for Men bought a camera, and it's still in tip-top shape. So this GoPro camera will be in tip-top shape in 2 years, and we're going to get a lot of mileage out of it and a lot of good footage out of it. Matter of fact, that camera that a Voice for Men, a Voice for Men's camera there, caught footage of Big Red. Also caught footage of Darwin's Rejects. Also caught footage of many other of these cretins that go around saying that they're human rights activists, but are really just human haters. They hate, they hate the human race. They're also mostly known as feminists.
Good. No, like I said, this is what I can do. I mean, I write an article here and there, may write an article here and there, but I am a logistics hound, and for those of you who are listening here, I'm coaching Danny here about making sure that he stays safe on this route, not only because with the ability to record pretty much 24/7, but also taking care of himself here. Neither of us are spring chickens, and
Yes.
and this is going to burn a little bit. This is an energy. This is for the full 100 miles. It's an energy burn. It's going to you're going to lose. I wouldn't be surprised if you lost 7 pounds over the 4 days of the walk.
We'll have to see. Now, I'm also going to be living the life of a homeless person. No luxuries, no critter comforts for me and Jeb.
Okay.
I'm not even packing a tent. I am packing a tarp with tent stakes. Worst comes to the worst, I'll just string it over something and create a leak. But they right now the way the weather is shaping up, what they're calling for is sunny skies and clear days, which is fine by me. But we'll be roughing it and living the life of a homeless person as well. I haven't decided whether I will spend the nights out in front of the each and every city town halls on the sidewalk in front of them with a sign which will state almost 80% of all suicides are men. I haven't figured that one out yet, but that's kind of in play. Um, and I will call it a protest, and they can't, that's Section 2 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. If they want to violate that, I'd be interested to see them try, but wouldn't be the first time. So that's that as well. Um, a voice for men's camera would never do the deal. Its battery life is 1 hour tops, and that is it. And it does a good job. So either I would need uh, a really really long 100-mile extension cord, or I would have to stack my pack there with probably 50 pounds of batteries.
Yeah.
Neither one is a solution. Um, but like I said, a Voicerman's handy cam has paid off over the years very well. It paid for itself very well. So the GoPro, I expect even grander things, even greater things from it.
Yeah, and with your new LG too, don't forget that you keep that on your person as well. I mean, it's got a camera in it, doesn't it?
That it does. But I use that mostly for reaching out. Like, okay, I'm going to have people who come and pick up a memory card so that they can upload things and videos. So it looks like I've got people to do that and exchange battery, do a battery exchange. So the phone is really a phone. I do a lot of time. I speak a lot. I do a lot of time on the phone. I'm working on some very, very big companies to support
Good.
this walk, large companies. I'm not talking little mom and pop shops. I am talking multi-million-dollar companies, and I hope that they hear the call because I know that they are losing, some of their employees to suicide each year, and it affects that work community as well. So I hope they hear the call, and I hope they help raise a voice. Um, so that's that. Yes. That. So yeah, the GoPro. I'm gonna call it right now. It's gonna provide some incredible footage. We're gonna have at the end of the day, I'll be by the lake, so we'll possibly have some nice little sunsets to picture shots there that I'll put up on Twitter. That's another thing. Follow me on Twitter, Blackbeard 200969. Um, follow me on 2009 6. Sorry. Follow me on Twitter because as I'm going along, I will be posting Twitter pics of different areas where I put the stickers up. So you can follow me there, and you can follow the progress. I'll probably hook it up to Google locating so that you'll know the stickers will be kind of Google mapped out for us all. And by this Thursday, the first one should be going up. As a matter of fact, and I hope to present it to Robin Urbach.
Okay.
She
No.
is
Yeah.
she's giving the lecture at Cafe, so I hope to present her with one of the stickers.
Oh, good. 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 Good.
Yes, there's also a little bit of an interesting tie between me and Miss Urbach. Um, she actually used my Darwin's Rejects video in her National Post article on Darwin's Rejects at University of Ottawa. So there's a little bit of yeah, there's a little bit of common history there, and she does write honest articles about what's going on there. And I'd like to present her with an honorary sticker, and maybe she could post it wherever around and wherever she is, or perhaps put it up at the National Post, cork board there at work. I don't know, but I would like to be able to give her one, and
Hmm?
say thanks to her for doing for upholding her journalistic integrity. I'd really like to say thank you to her, Barbara Kay, and there's a few other reporters out there that who believe in journalistic integrity, and believe in telling facts and truth objectively rather than spinning it through an ideology lens.
Yeah.
So yeah, hats off to
Good.
them. Um,
Good. Good. It's nice to see ethics back in journalism again, but we won't mention names.
Expo.
Sorry, a little bit of a cough here.
Denver Expo. Denver Expo.
Yeah. Oh God, these allergies are terrible, man.
Yeah. Now, folks, I think we're going to wrap this up here. Usagi, thank you again, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar, and
Well,
your act of humanity has choked me up. It really choked me up. I was absolutely just floored. Um, I don't accept charity really well, and I don't accept compliments really well. But thank you on both counts. You paid me
yeah,
well.
I like
Done.
you, the Honey Badgers, Cafe, A Voice for Men, have been effective. We in the movement don't have these big pockets that are tax subsidized. It's men going out there to do things. Unfortunately, I don't have the time to do the things that Dan does, or the Honey Badgers do, or Cafe can do. Um, so the only thing I can do that and is that societal thing of men being workhorses. I have resources. So I'm willing to put the yoke on to help fund certain people here and there. It's not limitless. It's not bottomless. There's only so many hours in the day I can work. But if they propose an idea, I am willing to look for it. And if my finances are there, resources are there at that time, I'm willing to send it out. Um, but
Now,
I don't.
go ahead. Sorry.
Uh, unlike Dan here, I kind of keep myself private because I don't want that resource ability to go away, and I fear that might if I made myself public. So there's no Twitter for me. I don't even have a Twitter, or I barely have this identity here. And of course, those who know are who are men's and human rights advocates. Um, know how to get a hold of me here. But
Now,
so
excuse me. Um, Now you have a Usagi Yojimbo.
yes, that's actually the name of the comic itself. That is literally translates into rabbit bodyguard.
Okay, so Yojimbo, is that the proper way to say it?
Yes, it's
No.
actually yeah, it's Yojimbo. It's actually also a movie out there, I believe, uh, from Japan that's called Yojimbo. It's a story of a bodyguard samurai.
Okay, so I would like to thank you for my GoPro Yojimbo.
Oh, yes, you were
That
mentioning that. Yeah,
is my digital bodyguard. That is the bodyguard that's going to be watching out for me and watching my back while I'm doing the human rights work that the men's human rights movement does. And I'd also like to point out something else. I'm fond of calling the movement the men's human rights machine because we all got a part to play. Okay,
Eh,
and every
yeah.
part is important. The smallest without all parts working properly, we do not have a machine. We have a broken. We have something that's broken, not working. So we all have our parts to play, whether that's just spreading the word on a hashtag or whether you're able to donate some money. And I'd like to point out that the Honey Badgers have a fundraiser for legal funds going on right now, and I would ask that people drop a few shekels in there. The Honey Badgers do amazing work, and they got wronged at Calgary Expo. Time to have Calgary.
Oh, did they ever get wronged at Calgary O?
Yeah, I haven't been able to keep up on it because, like I said, me and Jeb been walking, 5 hours a day. By the time I get home, me and him get home, make dinner, get some rest in, and try and see what's going on around the net. That's pretty much my day. That's pretty much done. And then getting on
I'm looking at. Go ahead.
and then getting on the
Yeah.
phone, plus also networking and trying to bring in these large businesses to support this walk. Now, I'm also going to point out something else. There are numerous organizations in the manosphere that are helping out with this. Okay, this is an anti-misandry lead, but do not think that it is only anti-misandry. There are numerous organizations helping out with this, and there will be a list, about who's helping out with this forthcoming. But do not think that this is only a anti-misandry gig. This is everybody's gig. Okay. Their names will be on my back as I walk down the street, as I walk to Toronto. Okay, all the organizations that helped out to put this together, and they are numerous. I'm just not going to name them now because I haven't heard back from a couple of them, and I want to give them a chance to get back to me. Everybody's busy. I understand that. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's our busy season again. We kind of slow down during the winter, and we kick up again during the spring, summer, and fall. So yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to those individuals and those organizations, and we will be talking about them on another day. So with that, Usagi, do you have any final parting thoughts?
Nothing really. Get what you do what you can here to help. Like I said, if you don't have the time, if you can put out a couple of shekels, that'd be great. Um, if you can get the time here, try to do what you can. Write, tell your point of view here. Um, and I'm just looking also at the Honey Badger Brigade here. They've come up with a little solid number here, and they are almost halfway to their goal here. I'm not going to say it here because some people may say it's excessive, but so are attorney fees.
Well, you get what you pay for usually with attorneys. So
Yeah, absolutely.
if you want to hire a fly by night attorney, you'll get fly by night results. If you want to hire a quality attorney, then you'll get quality results. Now the honey badgers are very very thorough and in their due diligence and stuff. So I expect that they are going to hire one hell of a lawyer. um, I would kind of hope for Clayton Ruby. He's a bit of an ass kicker here in Canada. I don't agree with every case. I don't agree with every case he takes on, but he's a bit of an ass kicker here, and he loves free speech.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, um, do what you can here, folks, even if it's just trying to start poking the red pill around into various sentences here and there just to see how people respond. Maybe they're thinking the same thing.
That's right. Sometimes all it takes is just one person to break that silence, and then all of a sudden, the floodgates open, and then hey,
Exactly.
I know about this and I know about that, and it happened to my cousin and my father and my brother, and and da 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 da, and the yeah. Usually, when the floodgates break, when one person speaks up, usually the floodgates break pretty well. Now, there's a few other companies that have signed on, and again, these are non-men's human rights organizations that have signed on, and they are supporting the walk, not sponsoring the walk. Um, so that's great as well. We're making progress. We're getting out there into the mainstream. We're getting our good name. The feminist lies are failing left, right, and center. So keep up the good works, folks. Osagi, I would love to, again, thank you ever so much, and thanks for coming on the show tonight. I truly appreciate it. It's been a great talk with you. Love to have
I
you on.
appre- yeah, I appreciate being on here. I mean, um, it's rare for me to make an appearance outside of our normal chat spaces here. I think the last time was with the Fiamango incident here a few months back, but nothing since then. So it's kind of nice to come out every so often and spread my views here.
Absolutely. Okay, folks, we're going to call it a night here. Thanks again, Usagi. Remember, folks,
Thank
you
you.
can lead a feminist to logic, but you can't make them think. Stay tuned. There's going to be more AM views and news as we go along. Next Thursday, we're going to have an interview with Robin Urbach. That will be the first reporter interview for AM views and news. Uh, Stay tuned and find out about it later on. Take care, folks. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.